Hi, this is David Odell with OdellCompleteConcrete. Today what we're going to be doing, we've got a block wall out here in the front yard. We're going to be doing a little raised seat wall, you might say. It's mostly just looks, decorative. But over here is where we're going to really feature is this side yard and the backyard patio. Well, this is a brand new home, unoccupied at this time. This is how you get them out the gate. You know, you normally have a couple little landings right there out the side doors, but those have already been removed, relocated. There's like 4x4s. Here they are. Here's where they've been relocated. These little stepping stones were located out the doors. That's standard on these new houses. That's what you get. That's how you get occupancy permits, by having a landing outside the doors. So those have been relocated to the other side of the house, and those will just be decorative as well over there. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to pull a 15-foot wide patio, and the way I get everything straight is I pull a string line right down the foundation of the house, and that assures that I have a straight line with the building. That's where you start out when you're doing your layout. You just want to be straight with the house, so you pull your line back about 20 feet. Now you got a good straight line to work off of. We had some drains that were already in, and that was standard with this house. Drains going out to the front yard. They may have I think they drain out to the street, but they may have an underground that run behind all these houses as well. I don't know. It goes to the street. I do recall seeing a hole through the curb in the street. So the homeowner's real energetic here, and he's doing a lot of the work himself. He's doing all the underground, all the relocation of where he wants the drains, all the irrigation lines, low voltage. What else? I even dropped in a few electrical, outlets here and there. So what I did is I came in here, put some forms in, established some grade that he'd have to work off. That way he could dig his trenches at the right depth. Otherwise you could be trenching and you may not even be lower than the grade. So you got to have elevations first. You can see the drain, what they did originally. They just have that little 12-inch drain grate right there for the yard. And they give these yards a severe slope to these grates. So that's going to be a low area for sure. No, I just have to relocate all the dirt around this house to kind of flatten everything out and make the slopes a little more gentle. Now the ground here at this particular location, we're kind of up in the mountains here in southern Cal, and it got real rocky basically. So I had to these wood stakes you see right there, they only went about an inch into the ground before they just started splintering. So I had to break out the steel stakes to do the rest of my formwork on this project. So this little grate here, this 12-inch, we're going to relocate that to the outside of farm. I'm not going to try to slope the patio to the drain. I'm just going to go with a straight grade slope. Keep this patio as flat as possible. That way for tables, chairs, things of that nature, much more comfortable to sit on than having a lot of slope where drains and stuff occur. So those drains, I just what they had was a T going up, and then they had those 12-inch grates. So I think they glued it, though, was the only problem. Some of these had some glue on them, some of them didn't. It just depended. Some of the fittings they put in underground had glue, some of them didn't. So on the ones that didn't have the glue, I was able just to rotate the T to shoot it on the outside. That one rotated, if you notice that. We put the upright in there, and then we just flipped it down, and it's rotating. So there's no glue on the pipe, which is really great. So we didn't have to really cut into the pipe to relocate where we wanted our new lateral drains to come up. We had 2 of those in this patio. We maintain the shape of the house with this patio along the whole back of the house. You can see the house pops out about 2 feet over there. So we did the same thing with the patio. So that way we maintained a 15-foot wide patio all the way through. This particular concrete finish we're doing on here is going to be a more modern look. It's kind of popular right now, and I like to call it a SandWash finish. And what that means is after you're finished troweling the concrete, instead of brooming it or putting a different finish on it, what you do is you wash the surface, the cream, off the surface of the concrete, and you're exposing the aggregate, the fines that's in the concrete. So you can expose, if you go down just a little bit off the surface when you're washing it, you expose the sand. If you continue to go down a little deeper, you expose the rock. In this case, we just expose the sand. Basically what you're doing is you're making new concrete look about 40 years old. It's kind of the idea behind the SandWash finish. So potentially, I mean, if you ever look around at concrete that's been there a while, you can kind of see the sand surface, and that's just from erosion, wear and tear. Basically, that's what we're going to do we're going to do it within an overnight period. We're going to give it that 40-year appearance over in 24 hours. Naturally, that would occur in about 40 years. This is a really popular look right now, and it's a real easy one to do. And back to the preparation, it's all about establishing your elevations, getting your forms in, and then working the dirt nice and flat. And then you want to compact it and heavy water it for a couple days to get settlement around those pipes where you've disturbed the soil. And since this is a new house, there's going to be movement. Typically I see movement in the first year. I've seen block walls, for instance, move 3 inches in the first year, just from the settlement of new properties that not really compacted that well. Since this particular house is solid rock up in this area, I don't think they're going to have much of a problem with settlement. Depending how far they cut into the rock, though, of course, but they're probably sitting right on top of it. So the way we're doing this side yard is we're leaving a planter against the block wall. We're leaving a little planter space against the house. And that's going to get some nice round black cobblestone all through there. And then also we're going to run some bands of cobblestone across the actual sidewalk. So it'll kind of flow all the way through this black rock that's going to go in there. That's homeowner's agenda. That's what he's going to do. When he gets around to doing that part of it, he'll put the rock in there. So we won't see those pictures, but we'll see the SandWash finish. Now here's some of the I've relocated a drain here because we're going wall to wall out of this garage door with concrete. And then I've stubbed up, relocated a couple of these drains that were in here. I put them in the spaces that we're going to put river rock or cobble, so the water can still drain. All the groundwater can go into these. We're going to have a band right there with cobble over that drain. We're going to have it in between the patio and the walkway right here. There's the rock. You can see some of the rock, the type they're going to use. Now here's some of the underground here that you can see that the homeowner is doing. He's got a little 1/2-inch electrical conduit line he's pulled his low voltage through. And he's got his 1-inch irrigation line, supply line that goes to his rear valves. He's got some valves out here in the front of the gate that'll do the front of this house. He's got valves in the back, and he's got valves on the other side of the driveway. So he segmented everything off. So the only thing he really had to get a lot of footage of was sprinkler cable wire to go from all these different locations. We're going to also add about 1 foot of concrete on each side of this driveway. And then we're going to recess that concrete to allow for some tile to go on top of, and then the homeowner is going to do that as well. So I'm just going to recess the concrete for that 1 foot band, 1 inch, and then that tile can go right on top of that concrete. I'm going to dowel into this driveway as well with some rebar, because you don't want that to start separating from the driveway if you drive over it or it just wants to move. This driveway here came standard with a SandWash finish on it. So did the front porch and front entry sidewalk. So this side yard and my back patio will match that finish. So I've got my form here set 1 inch below the driveway, so I can pour right to the top of that form, and I'm 1 inch below the driveway, ready to lay some tile on there. Got a little 1.5-inch step up right there to where we don't have tile. You can see my steel stakes, brand spanking new ones. I had some 4-footers and some 12s and stuff, but I needed more, so I got some 18s. Now we've saturated this for a couple days, so the water's penetrated nice and deep. And we're going to lay the rebar, and I use a 3/8 rebar on 2-foot centers. Then of course I'm going to have fiber mesh mixed into the concrete. The fiber mesh I use is about 3/4 inch strands, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It actually does something. I really like the fiber mesh, especially in pea gravel, because then you've got some long strands holding everything together rather than just your little pea gravel. On the big rock stuff, I probably would just skip the fiber mesh. Now up along the house you can see pipes sticking up, and you can see some 4-inch ABS. What that's going to be, he's going to set some potted plants over the top of those, and so he'll have water to individually water those pots, and then any excess water will go out the bottom of the pot right into those holes, those 4-inch ABS holes, and it'll just kind of perk into the soil there without water staining over the concrete. Because a lot of times when you have potted plants and the type of soil in those potted plants, you can really stain your concrete real bad real quick. So you don't want to have excess runoff from potted plants on your new concrete. Now here's the bands I was talking about, which will have cobblestone, and they also have some drains in there. He's going to connect all that to some perforated 3-inch with some wrapped in some drainage fabric, so the dirt can't penetrate the pipe. So on the front of this house, we're going to have a couple columns here. He's got a bunch of stuff stubbed up into it. He's got a drainage pipe going into the column and a few other things. That's in another video, though, that we're going to be doing. And that's going to have poured in place cantilever cap on it, which are always fun to do. A little more challenging. So the homeowner was adamant on having these dobies underneath the rebar, so he went ahead and put them under there himself. And so I didn't have to raise the rebar as I went on this particular project, which is kind of nice. Although the pumper almost took a header when he got hooked up under some rebar. It may be on camera here somewhere. It was kind of sketchy. If he went down, he probably would have took a couple with him. So we got some plastic on the house here, which I normally don't do, but in this case, since we're doing that modern SandWash look on the concrete, I'm going to be spraying a stuff called Top Cast, and it's a number 3. They have different versions of it, that 1, 2, and 3, and we're using number 3 version, which is just a light penetrating, medium SandWash. So that way, if you use some of the other grades, it'll penetrate too deep and you'll expose the actual aggregate. You don't want to expose the aggregate in this mix since it's crushed rock. Now, if you had some nice river rock in the mix, or maybe you imported some to the batch plant and they used that rock, you could do some really nice exposed aggregate. But typically, rock is mostly angular and broken that they use in these mixes, so they're not real good exposed aggregate mixes. You could seed it too, but I would just bring the rock to the batch plant and have them use it, and then just expose it. Be the best, most consistent, most durable way to do a nice exposed aggregate. But in this case, we're just doing a SandWash, so we're okay. Now, in doing a SandWash or an exposed aggregate, you don't want to get a hard trowel finish on it. You want a real loose trowel, or even a hand float finish, and then that's when you want to spray it. You just want to get all your hard lines out, like bullfoot lines, Fresno lines, and as soon as you can do that, then you can spray it. If you can get it flat, there's no major trowel lines or bull float marks, it's time to spray. So we went over it real loose. I think we got away with it with just a funny trowel and sprayed it. But there's the product that we're using here. You know, before this stuff ever existed, I used to just put a pound of sugar to a gallon of water and go for it, and that would do the trick. Now they got pretty technical, and you can get this stuff where it goes in exactly how deep you want it to go every time. But like sugar in concrete, the sugar kills the concrete, so it won't dry once you put sugar on concrete. And that's how we used to do it, you know, about 20 years, 30 years ago. And now this makes it a little bit easier because it's on the money all the time. Another way you can do these, especially SandWash, is you just start washing them the same day in a hot climate, where you got a really good hot climate. You can wash these the same day. Just do a nice hard trowel on it, tight trowel finish. Walk away for a few 45 minutes, come back and just start hosing it down. Run the water soft with no nozzle and a nice broom, and then just wash it down. Then you're going to get the benefit of a good water curing as well. So that's ideal in a hot climate to do a SandWash same day. With this stuff, this Top Cast, I can come back tomorrow morning with the pressure washer and blow the surface right off. And so that's what I'm going to do in this case here. instead of staying here for a couple extra hours today and getting the concrete real hard where I could wash it same day. I'll just come back tomorrow with the pressure washer, because you're going to use a lot more water if you try to wash it the same day, and you're going to have a real mud hole on your hands when it's all said and done, because you got to run the water high volume, low pressure, so you get a lot of water, get good curing, but it's a mud hole. So we'll pressure wash it tomorrow with minimal amount of water. So here's the next day, and I'm walking over it now, and it looks like someone had walked on it out there in the front. I don't know who came in here overnight when I was away, but you could see there was some foot marks on it, and it actually interrupted how this stuff was working, so it didn't really come off as well as I would have liked, where someone had walked on it in the front. Well, I just got a 2600 psi pressure washer, and I'm using about a 40-degree tip, and it's coming right off. The nice thing about this top cast is it says how many square feet it'll cover and how far you can go with it. I usually go double, almost double what they actually recommend, because I like to put it on there heavy, and I found that with this stuff there's no such thing as putting on too much, but there is such thing of not putting enough on. When you don't put enough on, then you run into a lot of problems trying to get that cement off that you are too light on the spray, and you got to either you're gonna have to SandWash, or you're gonna have to get a buffer with bristles. A lot of options, but a lot more work. So I spray it heavy, and that way I know it's gonna come off the next day. Now we're gonna do a 5-foot grid pattern on this entire patio. I'm gonna saw cut the whole thing. I'm gonna make these cuts about 1 inch deep, and that's enough depth to where if the concrete wants to crack somewhere, it'll crack on those weakened spots that I'm creating. So what it does is it controls the cracks, keeps them in a straight line, and it keeps them hidden. I put some nice corner bars. I did double corner bars on all these protruding corners, and we had no problems with cracking overnight. Did some 3-foot lengths, 4 inches apart, diagonal on every protruding corner. But here's your close-up on your SandWash. This is a number 3 top cast. So basically this is kind of what you're going to see in about a 40-year-old slab with just natural wear and tear. We've achieved that in 24 hours. Nice thing about when you get down to that stage, you're exposing the aggregate, which is really the hardest part of the concrete. So you have a really durable surface right now as far as scratching and scarring goes, because now anything that touches that slab is going to be bouncing off of the rock itself, instead of that little bit of 1/8 inch cream on the top, which is a little bit softer than what you have right here. So this is a more durable surface, no doubt. But it is more susceptible to staining too, because now all the pores are opened up on it. So it's a good idea to put a sealer on something like this, and penetrating at least. So anything that hits that's going to suck right into it real quick. And then down this side yard, we went with 5-foot spacing as well on the cuts all the way down. And then you'll have the black cobble all the way around everything. And then my next video, we're going to show the actual wall install in the front of this house and the poured in place cap with white color hardener with a smooth finish, all poured in place. It's a 5,000 psi cap going on this baby. So it's going to be durable. It's basically a decorative bond beam going on the wall in front. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Have a good day, and if you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to contact me.